Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Barden here. A lot of what's on my screen may look a little confusing or intimidating, but don't worry, it's not nearly as bad as you think it might be. The reason I kind of have this set up like this to start with is because I think it's just the way Windows is designed. It doesn't get happy when I'm hopping in between my um, recording software and my screen in my DAW. So the stuff I use to record my screen and this screen, the program on the screen, they don't like that. Hopping in between them makes the recordings not turn out well. So I'm actually recording everything I'm saying in Studio One, the program that I am about to give you a little tour of, so that way I can just stitch everything back together in post, and hopefully everything should work out. So I've got right here this program, Studio One. So when you click it and open it up, it's this. You can kind of see it down here on the bottom of my screen. This kind of black and blue icon. You'll notice the color scheme's a little bit different. On yours, I've customized mine and added some stuff in there, but the content between what's on my computer and your computer is basically the same. Uh, so what we've got here is over here on the right side of your screen, there's a bunch of tabs, and this is kind of where you can find a lot of stuff that you'll use. So maybe if you wanted to add, well, instruments, effects, find different files, stuff like that, you can find it all right here in this panel. And this is caused by clicking browse, which actually you can't quite see because I'm in the way, but there's a little button here that's very obvious. You click it, it opens it up, the browser. The one next to it called Mix opens up the mixing window, so you can adjust all of the various levels. And woohoo, stuff happens. And you can work with that and the mixer. And then there's also the edit tab, which you can go in and use that to edit recordings or MIDI and things like that. So some useful tabs right there at the bottom. And that's most of what's been covered by my screen. The only other thing is where right on the edge of my camera, I don't want to click back and forth unless I have to. But that's where you can set the tempo of the clock, so you can adjust that as needed. Um, okay, so now that that's the part that's hiding in this browser window kind of taken care of, let's hide that and talk about what else is here. This is, again, kind of a tour. So this is the main page that we will be working in. This is the song view. So let's see if we can hop over here while still recording. It looks like we are. Okay. So by default, this is what will pop up here when you open up the software. There's a lot of stuff here, but the short version of it is you can see other projects that you've worked on over here on this left-hand panel. You can see, stuff about you and your setup here. So this is my personal computer, so it's got my information on it. I think it'll just say, Denham Springs High School STEM Center here on our computer, and then it'll tell you about what's connected. So depending on what devices we plug in, you'll probably change different options here, and you can do other settings and make sure that your keyboards and stuff are all hooked up and ready to go. And then over here are different kinds of tutorials and demos and announcements, and it's fun to check out. Sometimes you can see some other people's stuff here, and their mixes and things like that. It's just kind of a fun time. Um, so we'll talk about projects later at the year, kind of at the very end. We won't get into shows in this class. They do different things. And all that, but we'll pretty much always be working in songs. So you could go up and make a new song and pick all the stuff, but you'll probably pick empty song for most of these. And I'm just going to hop back into that, and that's what opens up this window right here. So over here on the left, this is where you can see all of your tracks. I've already got one here, and that's what we're recording with, but you can create tracks that hold instrument data for recording, automation. Excuse me, I'm all that pollen this time of year really messes with my sinuses. I don't feel like re-recording this. So, but anyway, we can put all your tracks here. You can just see them stacked up, and they form this line. As we move across the screen, that represents time. So when we're looking at time, you can see this is set up in like bars and measures of music, but you could change it to seconds if you wanted. So you can think about this again, either in time, like you're making a beat, or a little more abstract, where you have things coming in, um, with seconds and time intervals instead of measures. It's pretty useful to be able to do that up here. And again, as you add tracks, they just get stacked up vertically on the screen. Okay. Down here at the bottom, there's some things there you can see some information on the screen. So you can see things like your sample rate and some latency. Um, and I'll talk about what all those are after we've kind of gone through this tour, and we talk about how computers are working with sounds. You can see the longest, your maximum recording length right here, which for me, with all of my stuff hooked up, it's about 96 days. So I could record for a little over 3 months before I ran out of space, which is fun. The length of your current recording, and then the length of that again in bars, and you can change this to be whatever format you want. Your transport controls, so back by one, rewind, fast forward, go to the next marker, go to beginning, stop, play, record, loop. It's pretty useful. Some information about the left and right channels, so you could play around with some of that. And then over here we get some metronome options and timing options and things like that. Um, we'll talk probably most about the metronome, but this is excuse me, this is a very handy bar to have a lot of controls are here just right at the bottom of the screen. At the top of the screen, if we work our way over, this up here involves automation. So whenever, uh, like if you were to adjust a knob or something on one of your MIDI controllers, you'll see up here that it, what it is and what you're changing. But you could assign that to different things here. So if I wanted to set one particular knob to a volume or something else, I could, and you can see that as I adjust it right there, and I'll put that about back where we were. So again, that's just for automation and MIDI controls, and we'll get into that later. Right here are all of the tools that you can use. So this first one is kind of a multi-tool, so it changes what it does based off of where your mouse is. So it can be used to select sections of a clip with this crosshair, or the whole clip with the mouse, depending on again where you're at it vertically. You can hover over the edge to click and drag and crop in recordings, things like that, and you can move things around as well. It's pretty handy. The split tool here, the one that looks like a little razor blade, is used to take a recording or a MIDI bit of data and cut it into two separate files. So if I wanted to use that, I could click on my recording here and separate them out, and they're now two separate things. The eraser just deletes what you click on. The paint tool is used for I use it for making a lot of weird, fun automation and things like that. We'll get into automation a bit more later. This mute tool will mean when you click on a recording or a bit of MIDI data, it will mute it or unmute it. It's pretty simple. We don't really do much with the bins, so I'm not going to get into that, but you can play with those here. You can just listen to certain things without other stuff playing. With that tool, this is a help tool, so if you need information on stuff, you can click on it and find what you like, hover over what you need to do. Blending and removing silence and things like that, pretty useful. Quantize syncs things up to the beat. And if you wanted to make like macro key commands, so that way you hit a command and it does a whole bunch of stuff. You could do that. We really won't get into this in this class. Um, okay, up here again is the that quantizing there, so we can set up again how we look at this and so on. Whether or not you have things snapping to a time grid. Why am I so gunky today? Or whether you want them kind of free floating is there. And then this option that's highlighted just means that we follow the playhead. So when you'll notice it's just auto scrolling and keeping this line on the screen. Let's see. We don't really do much with the scratch pad, so I'll hop over that for now. And we will do some stuff with video, and this opens up the video player right here. Um, that's the main bit of it. Right here. Basically, when we're going to make our projects and everything, and we'll be working in this software, and you'll be turning in most of the time the audio rendition of whatever you're working on. And to do that, after you've saved all your stuff, you go to Song and Export Mixdown. This is where you can set up all of that. So you give it a name, you choose the file. It'll probably be either WAV or MP3, and you tell it where to select. So you generally would pick between loop, and you'd set up the loop for whatever you want, and go with that. And you'll say how long it's there, and you say okay, and it'll export. That loop we actually can't see now, so let me just zoom out. And you'll see right here this little triangle. And if you click and drag that, whenever it's activated, it will play this sound just in a never-ending loop, and you can activate it by clicking this button down here, which lights this up bright blue, makes it nice and easy to see. So when you're exporting, you could drag this out so it encompasses all of your tracks. And you can kind of see it darkens the background, so it's a little easier to see there. So it highlights all of your stuff. And then when you go into the export bit, you'll see it'll tell you how long your file is going to be. Once it does all of its thing, that's what you'll turn into Google Classroom. Again, I'll mention that in class with everyone. But that's the really short overview of the main work environment. As for how we'll be doing and saving this work, everyone's going to have a flash drive, all right, and that'll be keep coughing. It's really gross. You'll have a flash drive, and that will be, your flash drive for the year, and all of your work will be saved to that drive. So what you'll be doing is, you'll get that when it's time to work and plug it into the computer, and then what you'll do is open up Studio One, and it'll go to the page when you make a new song. You need to make sure that you tell it where to save by clicking these three dots and find. I don't have a flash drive plugged in, but you'll then find your flash drive, in the little folder in there, and save it, and then save all the stuff to your flash drive. That'll keep the computers from filling up way too fast and having to get everything erased. So again, that's the main thing you'll be doing is, having that flash drive. So you'll save all of your projects to it. Everything will be right there. And then if you have to move to other computers for whatever reason, you have it on the flash drive, and you can have it right there. And then I'll show you another way to back them up. Basically, just putting them on your Google Drive will be a thing we do before major projects. So that's pretty much all of that right here. So I'm going to end this recording, make sure all of the audio is synced up, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.